Hello, Bench. Thank you for your time
Hey, good evening, Ariane.
joining me in this week's conversation about the innovator and the futurist. And I was just thinking about what to talk about today. And like last week, we had our Realign Your Future challenge. We had really a nice group, a good group size with a lot of interaction that I've actually finished it and took the challenge to realign their future, find out their future perspective, preferred future, areas of life. And it was really fun to do. But to be honest, I'm also quite tired. It's like having a day off yesterday. It was King's Day in the Netherlands. And I just noticed that, okay, yeah, all red flags are up. But I still wanted to talk today with you and those around us. So I really encourage people to connect with us. Leave your comments in the Facebook groups, the Facebook profiles, the pages, YouTube. Soon also LinkedIn. Haven't managed it yet. But Benj, how?
I'm doing very well, thank you. It's been, what, 4 weeks, 5 weeks since we last had a chat like this. So I really enjoyed our last chat and had lots of positive feedback from a whole bunch of people. So thank you, everybody who's given me feedback and given us some ideas of different things to talk about today as well. I wasn't able to fully participate in the challenge last week, but I watched most people's, and there were a lot of participation, and I watched all your stuff. It was really, really good, and I feel like real breakthrough for a bunch of people in just getting hold of where they're headed in their lives, what they could do, who they could be. Really exciting. And yeah, I revisited actually a bunch of stuff from previous ones just to see what had changed and to reflect on that. And that was really good as well. So yeah,
So
thank you for all you poured into that.
yeah, well, it was a pleasure. It was also really hard work in and not I mean not in labor and in time, but in giving it an update and making it fresh again. Like one of the things that I really got so much more aware about is that acceleration towards who you can become.
Yeah.
I really like this future mindset that most people well haven't heard yet. We hear a lot about like learner mindset and comfort mindset or growth mindset and fear mindset and adaptive mindset. So I thought, create the future mindset, which is actually amazing to see that people catch up with it without mentioning the mindset. But the moment you can stretch your perspective to understand that it's valid to actually know your heart desires and start to understand that your inner voice is actually revealing things that you've always noticed but you never took the time to process. And the more people that has taken the time, they actually they acted out of a future mindset.
Yeah.
So they acted out, I want to find out who I can become. And
Yeah.
it's not about who I am, it's not what I have achieved, it's not necessarily just about my purpose, but it's actually about who can I become? Like, what's the next version of me?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really fun. And I was just wondering how that connects to innovation, being an innovator. Like, how important is it to know where you're going?
Yeah, really interesting question. I've been thinking a lot over the last 2 weeks about um, what it really means. Actually, triggered even more by our conversation for whenever it was 4 weeks ago. But I think one of the, maybe not a pitfall, but one of the weaknesses of being an innovator is sometimes you can get stuck in uh, in the data, stuck in the, not necessarily looking for solutions, but stuck in the observing the now and sifting through. And for me, it's the future. Understanding who I could be, and looking there and focusing my eyes on that, reminding myself of that, giving myself space and time to hear my inner voice, to really trust my inner voice. It's like when I go flying, and it's getting the heading of the next airport that I'm flying to, and I can set, plan that heading, adjust for wind. I can set the course of my airplane to go 030 degrees, because that's going to get me to where I'm going. But if I don't have that vision of where I'm going and why I'm going there, the wind's always going to blow you around and blow you off course. But you can't measure yourself. You can't measure whether your innovation is being successful. You can't measure whether you're accelerating or decelerating, going backwards, whether you're getting blown miles off course or distracted or whatever. I know I'm talking in pictures here, but for me, that's the key. It's knowing where I'm going. It might not be the end destination, but knowing what the next milestone is, like the next place I want to be at, the next person or version of me that I want to be, and to be able to grow into that. Then I can apply all my innovation that I like, because everything's focused on where I'm going.
Yeah, that's good. And there was one of the things that stood out for me. One of the questions in the challenge was, looking back to everything I've done in life, where does it fit in? and how does it fit in? How does it contribute? How does it work for the good? And actually, the only answer is, I don't know. Well, I know one thing, it will.
Yeah.
Because I had to let go the format and the sequence of events that I've experienced it in the past. I've developed my skills, and I just have to let go, trusting that it will be a piece of my new puzzle, of my next puzzle, not knowing if the piece has the same shape, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Probably, like, details will be main things, core things from the past will be details. It will probably be shuffled in a way that if I think too much about it today, if I overthink it too much, I start to engineer it, but not based on structures, orders, sequences of the future, but actually of my past. Well, I said to this person, skip that part, because you already know what format it fitted in. Just leave it and trust that it will come back.
Yeah, that's really good. I think two words there: trust. And the other one's in my head, not what you said, but faith. I was just reminded of when I first joined the mastermind. Nearly a year and a half, maybe longer. I can't remember now. But it was one of the questions I had. The first 15-minute talk that I did, I was trying to bring all these different things from my past and mash it all together, and it just confused me. But like, if I look back over the last 18 months and how I've changed and who I've become, lots of things of my past have kind of appeared in the future and surprised me in it. And I think, there's some of the setting your future. I think, sometimes it's a big, scary thing to do, is to really step back and really, really envision who you could become. So I wanted to say this because there might be people listening this might be helpful for. But I think, you only need to think and envision as far ahead as you've got faith for. And almost you can do that. You can do a small step. You might not know 10 years who you're going to become. You might not even be able to know 5 years, but if you can dream and imagine who you could become in 12 months or something like that, then do that. And in 12 months time, you'll find that your trust in the, your inner voice and in pursuing where you could go will have grown so much that in 12 months time, you'll be able to look at a different horizon. And perhaps a destination a little bit further on. Yeah, and that's how you accelerate. I think by taking those, just jumping in. If you don't start moving, if you don't start going, you're going to stay standing still.
Yeah, we all know
or
it.
Get blown backwards.
Yeah, and we all know it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we get distracted, occupied, busy by all those things around us that are actually demanding time from us and energy. And knowing actually where you want to be helps you to shift in those areas as well, from knowing that elements are distractive or elements could work or things are just like they fit in. Like we talk about understanding, getting a glimpse, creating our mental image of, let's say, 12 months. And but that's what we call hope. And then by talking about it and repeating it and finding the right language, we actually develop that we start to believe what we have hoped for. And then it will materialize in our behavior, and that's what we call faith. And those things are just our skills we have to develop. It's like every skill we have developed in life, we have to take the skills with us and not the constructions. So whatever we built with those skills, we leave the constructions behind and we take the skills with it, not knowing where it will fit in, just knowing that it contributed to who we are today and probably will still be an element of us in the future. And,
Yeah.
and like you said, that acceleration, if you now can stretch your mind to 12 months and backcast like what you want to have achieved in 6 months, then at least in 6 months' time you can just use it as a compass and to trigger a little bit back on track.
Yeah.
Then probably next time you can do 18 months. And then the time after that you can do 3 years. And that's the funny thing with acceleration. It's not a linear thing. So the things will happen faster the more steps you have made, or the steps will be bigger for the same amount of time. And I think that is something we just have to learn. Maybe it's the same like when you want to go into traffic, like you learn to ride your bike. But then the moment you have a faster bike, you find out that the bike handles different on higher speed. And then you've got a motorbike. It's totally different. And then you've got a go-kart. Every machine, it is more of the same, but you have to redevelop new skills to adjust it to speed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, so in the last chat we had, somebody suggested that we talk about the word diversification. So it'd be quite interesting to talk about that.
Yeah, I wonder who that was, but no. I hope he's listening. Thank you for bringing up that topic. I think diversification, the first thing it triggers to me, that word, is that in organizational change and in businesses, that is a bit of like seen as the immature stage of life. It's a bit like, oh, it's the chaos where nothing is standardized, nothing is integrated, and we need to go to unification. And honestly, I never liked that. I've done many projects with that over the last 20 plus years. But the strange thing is that if you look from not a process or a data perspective, but we look from a human perspective, I think it should go the other way around. I think unification is where it starts in a startup, in family, in relationships. It's like my kids learn in the first stage to actually they learn life based on watching me and my wife. And
Yeah.
in that sense, there is a level of unification. There is not only the DNA is shared, but also the way it's executed is the same. And actually, the first 10, 12 years, you correct your kids if they are not doing it on your unified way. But then I think that it is really should be, call it releasing, call it multiplication. I think there are routes to diversification. But in an organizational context, I truly believe it it demands, it's not required, it demands wholeness. Wholeness of individuals. Not I don't talk about that things needs to be perfect, but like this longing for wholeness, including openness, vulnerability, safety, those topics. And I think that is something we underestimate because the moment we all start to look like that we're unified, well, I don't want to talk sci-fi, but then it's the time that we are replaced for robots.
Yeah.
And I think,
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, there's a lot of talk about diversity in the workplace and people, but I when I hear that and I see how that is portrayed, it's much more about forcing to have people from different backgrounds, whether it's different races or different sexes or different things like that, and it doesn't seem the same as creating or having a an environment where people are really safe and really free. I'm not quite sure if that's the right word, but to be their diverse selves, their unique, who they are.
is that true? Is that true?
And I was, coming back to innovation, I think the power of having incredible diversification of individuals and of thought processes when you want to innovate is just means that you have all these different views and perspective of your as I picture it, I think we've used this language before, but you see your plane, not airplane, but the plane of your business with problems dotted about it, and people try and connect the dots or build a path through them, but actually until you have real diversification, you're looking at this thing from 3D 4D angles, only then can you really see the full picture. And I think without diversification and diversity, you only have part of the view.
That's a good one because actually I think the diversification is between the dots,
Yeah.
not the dots.
Yeah.
Talking in that one, and it's like if you think of that diversity, it demands quite some wholeness in everyone
Maturity.
involved,
Yeah.
maturity, and so not trying to protect what you don't want others to see from you. Now, like really be open and be open to be made accountable to yourself.
Yeah.
And show that you work on issues. It's like yesterday I was no, it was 2 days ago in a call, and it was about like leadership. How do you help your people to actually understand that following and learning is the same thing? And I listened for a while to it, and I thought the only thing you need to do as a leader, if you want others to follow you, is model how you follow. If you want them to learn, model how you learn.
Yeah.
And I thought, ouch, that's actually what most people in a higher position don't show.
Yeah.
They don't show what books they read. They don't show what um, training they follow, what their newest thing was they learned, what their latest mistakes were that helped them to become their next version. Actually, we
Yeah.
hide that. So
Yeah.
how do you expect the rest of the organization not to hide it? And so it starts with just being open and modeling. And,
Yeah.
and then I think the diversity could grow if we have people around us who are their unique selves
Yeah.
and are able to put that into, I would say, not just contribution, but also into a challenging mode of me, for instance, which means that the top leadership team is a group of people with shared vision, shared purpose, and not a shared opinion. They all
Yeah.
have a different opinion. Well, I have never seen that one because that sounds quite chaotic. But maybe that's where we need to go.
Yeah, I think it involves a lot of putting down egos, putting your ego to one side and admitting that you're wrong sometimes, so that, or not wrong, but that it's different, and that the views of others are as important, if not perhaps more important than yours, even when you're the leader. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
and I mean, if the only other thing that the diversification thing triggers is actually, for me as an individual, I want to be in my thoughts more focused, and I'm a very diverse thinker, and I've done lots of diverse things, but I want to be really focused with being the best version of myself and working towards that, and somehow draw on the diversity of who I am and bring it to bear in whatever scenario and whatever workplace that I'm in, rather than wandering off down rabbit holes all the time.
Yeah, and I think for many people, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but then that's why we have comments and input. But I was just thinking, like, sometimes I punish myself too much,
Mm,
that I don't need to be a specialist because I'm a special. Then I would be specialist in 4 areas and didn't know which one to choose. For instance, that. But I'm learning that actually those are the boxes I put my specialism in that are they're part of my past, not of my future. And at the other end, I think if everyone is their unique self,
yeah,
then we will all be a specialist, and
one
that
hundred
will
percent. Yeah,
and that is the reason why we are invited in the room, not only to contribute, but also to have a refreshing, different opinion than someone else. And
yeah,
and then we don't need to be the leader that understands everything and knows everything, because then our span of control is the trust in our peers. And I think there is so much ground in this area to grow into.
yeah,
And that's why I love to have my peers around me, even when we are not sharing the same business right now, but just having peers that just push back, reflect on what I'm finding out. And so,
no, that's really good.
yeah, so I want to thank you for running in this mastermind about finding out what your voice is, the acceleration for over 18 months. You're a founding member in that perspective. Uh, but it's such a valuable journey, and I really encourage everyone to just test it. Like, find a safe place and test it with us. Find a safe place to actually test drive your future identity, because it is an iterative process where you go in small circles, every time a bit wider, trying to find new language, which is actually something you have to do in a safe place to protect yourself, but also protect those who follow you.
Yeah,
Because first find the real future language before you start sharing it. I've made that mistake that was not fruitful. So I really invite you, just join it. Just go to the link that you see coming by, jump in, make yourself the guest of one of the sessions, and find out what value it has to be focused on who you can become, focused on what is the message you carry, and maybe even more important, what unique value you carry, and become that specialist that the world is waiting for.
Yeah, that's really good. I'm just, the more, especially the last few weeks, the more I think about it, the more I realize how passionate I am about seeing other people really find out who they are and accelerate, and in their personal lives, at home, in their businesses, see their businesses accelerate and see a real transformation in our society and have impact on our society. And if anybody's listening this who knows me, or even if you don't know me, just feel free to reach out, because I would love to chat to you and tell you more. I would love for you to join the mastermind, but not everybody's in that space. Just reach out and have a chat.
Yeah.
You've got absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. Yeah, I want to see a movement of people just really passionate about accelerating themselves to impact the world around them. And I don't know what, I don't want to wait. I'm impatient. I want to see it start. I want to see it start happening now. So yeah, I really appreciate these chats, Ariane, and I'm already looking forward to the next one.
Well, definitely, we will continue this. Like next week, I have another conversation. At that time, it will be the priest and the futurist. So you're all invited. Same channels, and soon, Benj, you will be back for another episode of the Innovator and the Futurist. And it's such a pleasure to make these like big buzzwords actually so pliable, because they're not labels, they're not titles, they're actually skills that we really, our heart is to just share them with the youth that watch. So I just want to underline what Benj said, like connect. And if that's the first step for you to gain something new, then you're more than welcome to do that. And actually, one-on-one, we are also nice guys. So just test it. Just test it. So, Benj, thank you for today.
Thank you very much.
And I want to say to everyone, like, have a great second part of this day. And see you all soon. Bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye. Thanks.